everyone. My name is Gary Arnett. I work for Paragon. I've been a Paragon trainer since 2004, and it's my opportunity to share with you a little bit about how Paragon works. Today's session is going to be an introduction, a demo, an overview of how Paragon works. My expectation for you as you finish this video is that you're not an expert. You're an informed user. And as an informed user, you may know that something can be done, but how it's done you may not remember. But knowing that it can be done, you can then access the help site, the web portal that you have for your Paragon system, or the Paragon help site, or contact your help team, and they can then give you the steps to help you remember how to do what you know how to do, or that you at least knew that it could be done. We're going to be looking at about a 90-minute time frame to do this introduction. And so with this, I want you to ask questions. And as you ask your questions, I'm going to give you one of the three following answers. Let me answer it right now for you, or give me a couple of minutes and I'll show you how it's done, or let's get together after class and we'll be able to talk about it. And when it comes to the guides and videos, they're available for you, and they're available out on your portal. And this is the web address for your Paragon portal. As you can see in the screenshot there on the right-hand side, that's an idea of what the portal looks like. And so by going out to the portal and registering as a VIP, you'll be notified when new content is added, so you'll be up to date about the advancements and the continuation of the deployment of your Paragon system. Now, if you want, you can go out to the Paragon help site. The Paragon help site is located with a button in the upper right-hand corner of the Paragon site. So when you click on it, you go to the Paragon site, and there you're going to see a variety of different buttons that tell you about the different modules inside Paragon. By clicking on each button, you'll then get a guide, plus links to videos to help you understand better how to use Paragon. And now, right now, you're not in parallel. So if you were to gain access to the Paragon system, you'd be in a sandbox. It's just a bit of information that's there. It's not been updated from several weeks ago. So when we do go parallel, you'll have access to ML Exchange and Fusion along with Paragon. Your ML Exchange and Fusion will not change in functionality. Continue to use that as you do now. But with access to Paragon, you'll be able to go in and start using Paragon. In fact, you can use all aspects of Paragon except for listing input and listing maintenance. Currently, that has to be done inside ML Exchange and Fusion. And so, as you're working along, again, add all your information inside ML Exchange and Fusion, and on an hourly basis, Paragon will take that information from ML Exchange and Fusion, process it, and drop it into Paragon. That way, as you are using Paragon for email notifications and other functionalities, at most, it'll be 59 minutes behind what's actually going on inside ML Exchange and Fusion. As we're going through parallel, content will be added. All of your listings will be added. All of your property history, all of your pictures, all of the comments you have with your pictures, which we call labels and descriptions, will be added. Plus lots of integrations with the other products. So as you go through the parallel process, expect to see new things appearing, more information appearing as you go through that process. So again, functionalities will be made available. Integrations will be added. The kinds of integrations you have right now with your third-party vendors will also be available inside Paragon. And so during parallel time, it could be a time where you start setting up and start using Paragon little by little. All of your contacts, all of your saved searches have been brought over. During parallel, it's a time where you can start setting up for using your Paragon system. And so we're going to recommend that you work 30 minutes a day inside Paragon to get used to how Paragon looks and works. Get your eye accustomed to how Paragon looks, get an idea of the workflow, the processes inside Paragon. So during that 30 minutes a day, we're going to recommend that you do the following items. That you verify that your listings have come over correctly, that your contacts have come over correctly, that your properties have been mapped correctly, and that your saved searches of your clients have been tied together. Again, we've taken your contacts, your saved searches, brought them in from ML Exchange and Fusion, and brought them into Paragon. And that is unique for you folks here in Edmonton. Normally, when we do transitions from a different vendor of MLS systems into Paragon, all you get is your contacts. But the Edmonton group has insisted that you get not only your contacts, but your saved searches tied together, which means it makes it very easy for you to set up automatic email notifications for your clients inside Paragon. And also, as you're working with inside Paragon, as you're looking at the different results, there's a variety of different property reports that will be available to you. Some of them will be recreated from ML Exchange and Fusion. Some of them are part of the normal suite of reports inside Paragon. If there's a particular report you like, you can do a left mouse click on that report, drag it up into favorites, and with it in favorites, you'll then be able to have those reports right at your fingertips. Not only when you're working inside Paragon, but when you go to printed email, those will be at the top of the list. So as we're working through today, realize that today is a sneak peek of what your Paragon system is going to be looking like. Data transfer We have the following information coming over: all of your listings, all of your property history, all your photos and comments. There are some information that's not going to be coming over. So your CMAs, anything that you've created as far as a CMA inside ML Exchange and Fusion will not come over. So you need to print those out to have it for your own record. Also, if you've created any custom flyers, brochures, reports, or handouts, those will not come over. So you have the ability inside Paragon to create your own property reports inside Paragon. Now, we have the following integrations that are going to be made available to you. And these are integrations that you currently have inside ML Exchange and Fusion. And so as you all look at the bottom, you also see that you have a mobile product. The ABRE2Go will be available to you. Plus, Paragon has its own version of a mobile product that's designed and optimized for your smartphone. Now, we believe that there's some exciting functionalities that you're going to find inside Paragon. You're also going to find that some functionalities will be fairly similar. The workflow will be fairly similar, but we may call it something different as far as the field name or what that process is called. Because you're going to find that there's going to be a lot of similarities between the two systems. But again, some neat, exciting new things for you. And just for your information, for the last 3 years, Paragon has been rated #1 in several categories when it comes to end-user survey conducted by Clarity. And so as they've surveyed hundreds of thousands of different MLS system users across North America, again, Paragon has come out #1 in multiple areas. Now, when it comes to your portal, again, here's the web address that you can use. And when you go out to the website, please become a VIP. That way you'll get the latest and greatest information that's going on when it comes to your transition into Paragon. Now, one of the things that's really exciting about Paragon is when you're on a search criteria screen, there's a button that's called Last Search. Last Search will remember the last 5 sets of criteria that's been inside the search criteria screen when you clicked on that search button in the upper right-hand corner. And it does not have to be saved searches. It's just any criteria on the screen when you clicked on Save Search. Again, Paragon will give you a list of 5, with the top one being the most recent one, the bottom one being the oldest one. So if a new search goes in, the bottom one drops out. So that's a neat functionality to help you to continue on with your work. You can pick up where you left off at, be it you've gone home for break, you've gone off to an appointment, you've been on vacation for months. Doesn't make any difference. Those last 5 will still be there for you. Inside Paragon, we have what are called listing cards. In Fusion, you'd call that a multi-folder. Paragon provides for you every one of your contacts, plus you can create additional custom listing cards. And these listing cards are MLS number holders. So you can put as many MLS numbers as you want into a folder for yourself or any of your clients. And on those folders, you can set up automatic email notifications. Paragon also allows you several different types of searches. So you can put in multiple shapes onto a map. They can be circles, rectangles, polygons. And inside those shapes, you can, if you want, draw another shape. That additional shape could be put into the exclude mode. So you can say, I want to live in this area, but not right here. You can toggle those on and off. So it provides you a way to provide exactly the right kind of properties your client's looking for in certain geographic areas. On the home page over in the lower left-hand corner, there's a widget that's called Quick Search. The Quick Search has built into it a map search functionality. It's hard-coded in, you can't take it out. But by clicking on the blue gear that's in the upper right-hand corner, you can then go in and customize up to 15 unique fields that you want to use out on the home page as you're rushing into the system, quickly put in criteria, get results, print, email, and back out you go. So it allows you to minimize the number of clicks you need to go through in order to find properties, get results, and then either print or email them out. Paragon will also allow you to upload 30 different pictures. Right now in ML Exchange and Fusion, you have 20. Paragon will give you 30, and what's nice about that is you can upload all 30 pictures at one time. And it doesn't have to be a published listing. While it's in a partially saved mode, it's a work in process, you have the ability to upload up to 30 pictures at one time. And once the pictures are inside Paragon, you can not only crop the picture, but you can even rotate the picture so you have the right orientation inside Paragon. And Paragon gives you the ability to multitask. Not only when you're doing a residential search can you be running 3 separate searches, but for each of your different property classes like residential, rural, mobile, commercial, and commercial is inside your database, you can have 3 different searches for each one of those classes running at the same time. In fact, you can be running all of those classes searches at the same time, plus working on listings, working with your contacts, working with your Canadian calculators, a variety of different things. You can have dozens and dozens of tabs open all at the same time, and by simply clicking on a different tab, you can move from this place to that place as you're working inside Paragon. Paragon gives you the ability to have multiple message bodies. Most agents retype that same letter again and again, multiple times each day. Well, Paragon gives you the ability to put that letter in once, proof it, spell check it, make sure the grammar is all right, and now it's saved there. And then as you get ready to send an email, you can pick and choose from the variety of different email message bodies you've got. That way you can just simply add it and go. In addition to that, you can have multiple email signatures. These multiple email signatures allow you to have the right contact information in that footer, in that signature area for the particular recipient. So you could have a signature that is for your office peers, another one for your board peers, another one for your buyers, your sellers, your vendors, whoever you want, and you can customize each of those. And then on an email by email basis, you can apply not only the message body, but the signature to have the right information going to your recipient. In order to do that, Paragon provides you a rich text editor. It's like a word processing system. And so not only can you put in text and format it being bold, underlined, italicized, you can change the font face, the font color, the font size. You can also add images. You can make them clickable images to go out to a website, along with just providing clickable links. So it provides you a lot of great content that you can have inside your content inside Paragon as you're like emailing and sending other things out of Paragon. As you're uploading your listing images, they can be up to 10 megabytes in size. Now, that's a nice size. Most of your tablets and smartphones take a picture that's somewhat smaller than 10 megabytes. Once you upload that 10 megabytes into Paragon, Paragon will automatically resize it for you. The retained image is actually larger than my screen here for my laptop computer. So when you actually put that into a property image, you have great definition of those pictures. In addition to the Paragon mobile product, you also have the ABRE to go tool, so you'll have two different mobile products to utilize as you're using Paragon. When you're looking at the spreadsheet, over on the left-hand side, there'll be a small image. It is small, but by clicking on it, you can then see a larger image. So as you're looking at a spreadsheet, you can get a quick idea of what that picture looks like. And if you want to, click on the image, get the larger image, then you can step through all 30 pictures if you wanted, seeing the details about the property. We also have a tool called Client Connect. Client Connect is a web portal for your saved search activity. So if you set up your client for Client Connect, when there's a match, the listings go out to the Client Connect website. At the designated time, an email will go out to your client telling them that there's something new to look at. And once they get onto the Client Connect website, which is your website that you've created for them and all of your other contacts, they can view those listings for an unlimited number of days. So they can look at it forever. As they're looking at those pictures, they can classify the picture or the properties as favorites, possible, reject, and add a comment. And you can then designate what's going to trigger emails going to them. And all those activities can be triggering emails to you also. In addition to the favorites, possible, reject, and comments, you can also be notified when new listings are added, there's been price changes, status changes, and other changes going on with addition to favorites, possible, rejects, and comments. So there's lots of things that will keep you as the agent informed of what's happening with your clients using Client Connect. And then when you get inside Paragon, you'll then be able to have a spreadsheet and you can review that information, which I'll show you towards the end of class today. Now, when it comes to the system requirements for Paragon, I'd recommend you go out to your Paragon portal, and there you'll be able to see it. But simply put, as long as you're using a PC or an Apple-type computer, using the updated operating systems, you can access Paragon. When it comes to browsers, there are 4 different browsers that Paragon is compatible with. I have all 4 browsers on my computer, and there doesn't cause any kind of a conflict. As I'm working along, if I find I've got a glitch between my computer, the browser, and Paragon, one of those, I can log out of Paragon with the one browser, log back in with a different browser, and continue to work. So again, having multiple browsers on your computer allows you to always be able to work. Now, when it comes to tablets, tablets are compatible also. iPads, Androids, and Microsoft Surface tablets are all compatible with Paragon. And compatible means you can go in and use them. Also, the functionality is going to be very similar. It's what you'd be using with a PC or a Mac, desktop, laptop or desktop, just that you typically don't have a mouse functionality with it. And when you access with a tablet, you're accessing the live database. You're not accessing through an app. So when you access Paragon with the tablet, you're working with the live, up-to-date data. Again, going out to your web portal, you get the specific details about the operating systems and requirements for your different devices accessing Paragon. And when you access Paragon using your smartphone using Paragon Mobile, it is the same database as you get into with your desktops and laptops and tablets. However, it uses a different web address to get in. That other web address optimizes for the display on your smartphone. That way it fits very nicely here. And on your smartphone, you can see all 30 pictures with the listing, plus maps, send out emails about multiple properties in a single email going out of the Paragon Mobile product. So again, lots of great things you can do with the Paragon devices. As you access Paragon for the very first time, you're going to be presented with an end user license agreement. What we'd like you to do is, in addition to reading the agreement, we'd like you to click on the radio button that says agree, and then click save. And by doing that, you then agree to the end user license agreement that your board is putting together, and then you have access to Paragon. And once you've done that, you won't ever see this end user license agreement. So it's a one and done type setup. As you access Paragon, you're going to see a window that looks like this. This is Paragon encouraging you to walk through the Preferences Wizard. The Preference Wizard sets up how your Paragon system is going to work for you and also adds branding. So you can upload your agent image, your office logo. You can also say, when I click on search, what report do I see? When I'm on the spreadsheet and I double click on a property, or with a tablet, I tap on the MLS number, what secondary report do I see? What phone number displays next to my name? And am I blind copied on all emails sent out of Paragon? Those are just a few of the settings that you can set up when you run this Preference Wizard. May I recommend that you do that as soon as possible. That way you've got your branding and the functionality for Paragon set up the way you want. Another nice thing about the Preference Wizards is you can run them as many times as you would like, adjusting and tweaking and making sure that the Paragon is working for you right now the way you want it. And as you grow in your fluency in Paragon, you're going to find that you may want to make some changes to better fit the way you use Paragon. Now, I believe Paragon is intuitive. In other words, as you look at it, it will self-direct you on how to use it. And because of that being intuitive, I would like to recommend to you the following two phrases. The first one is, if I see it, I can do it. It may sound motivational like, but it really is how Paragon works. By looking at the buttons, you can see what you can be doing. So if you want to do a search, you click on searches. If you want to work on contacts, you click on contacts. Once you get inside, you're going to have a toolbar that is very clear on the functions that are contained there. And because of that, some of you are going to wonder, I don't want to go clicking everywhere. I may click somewhere and I may kill Paragon. I may blow it up. I may cause it to crash, and I don't want to do that. So the second phrase I want you to remember is, I cannot kill Paragon. No matter what you do, there's nothing that you can do as an agent or a broker or an assistant that would kill Paragon. And because of that, we want you to explore, experiment, investigate Paragon. If you're looking at something, you say, I wonder what happens if I click here. Don't wonder, do it. Because you can't kill Paragon. One of the things that Paragon's going to ask you to do as you go through that first Preference Wizard is to verify your email address. So out on step 9, Paragon's going to ask you to verify your email address. And so you can click on a button that will send you a verification email. Once you get that email, it'll be there within a minute or two. And also, if it's not in your inbox, check your junk mail or spam folder. It may go there. But you want to find an email that says Paragon Email Services. Open it up. The instructions inside the email say, click on the link to verify your email address. Having gone through this quick PowerPoint, let's go out and take a look at Paragon. So when you log into Paragon, this is the homepage message you're going to see. As you look at it, it's different. I know it's different. And so that's one of the reasons why we want you inside Paragon 30 minutes a day, is so that you can get used to looking at Paragon. You get used to the buttons that are there, and you get more familiar with the workflow. Let's do a quick navigation of the Paragon homepage. So as we're working, the best way to work in Paragon is left to right, top to bottom. So let me just start at the top and move across. Here in the upper corner, you have a search field. That search field will allow you to search for 3 different types of values. One of them, you can put in MLS numbers. You can put in a number, comma, number, comma, number, comma. Some agents have put in 30 or 40 different MLS numbers. And when they click on the search button, in this case, for this one, it's the maple leaf, you then get a spreadsheet of results showing you those different properties. You can also put in a price range. And ignoring commas and spaces, you could put in a search range for prices. As an example, if I were looking for a property between $200,000 and $300,000, I would type in the following characters: 200,000 dash 300,000. Again, no spaces, no dashes, just type in all the whole numbers. And with that, you can then go out and search for a price range. You can also search by street name. Street name, comma, street name, comma, street name, comma, and find different properties that are on a street name. Notice there's not a lot of detailing information there, so you put in a little bit, you're going to get lots of results. Continuing on across, you're going to find over here on the side you have compose email. This is where you can click and you can create an email just right here. You don't have to be working with a contact record. You can create an email and send it out of Paragon. To its right is the help button, and this is the Paragon help site. There are buttons here that reflect the different buttons that you have inside Paragon. And by clicking on a button, you then get a step-by-step instructions with screenshots showing how to use that particular part of Paragon. Plus, there will be attached videos that you can also play. As you're looking at the videos, may I recommend the following process, which is play, pause, and practice. By using play, pause, and practice, you can play a video, and at a logical point for you, you can pause it. And while it's paused, practice what you've just learned. If you want, back us up as many times as you would like, and then when you're ready, play on. And by using play, pause, and practice, you'll then have self-paced training of how to use Paragon. Let me move back over to Paragon. And then we have the log off. When you're done with your session, remember to log off. That will keep your Paragon system optimized for all the different users. Continuing on around, we have the market monitor. The market monitor is an electronic hot sheet. So instead of showing a spreadsheet of different listings, Paragon gives it to you in table form over on the right-hand side. As you look at the different breakouts like new, expired, price change, hot list, sold, and pending, those are the different breakouts for the listings that are contained. By clicking on the label or the number, you would then get a spreadsheet of results for those particular listings. Now, as you're looking at it, notice we have market. By default, the market is everything that's within your Edmonton database. And that may be more than what you want to see because it's going to be your residential, your rural, commercial, and your different classes of property. If you'd rather see just your niche market, by clicking on the blue gear in the upper right-hand corner, and if you're catching on, the blue gear means you can change or customize that area. You can choose the property class like residential. You can choose the property type like single family. You can choose different geographic areas in order to identify your niche market. And then as you're working with the market monitor, you can choose the number of days back Paragon is looking. You can choose a value between 1 and 7. I've chosen 3. However, on the fly, I could change that to a 0, which means only show me what's new today. I could change the value up to 30, so you can put in a value between 0 and 30. And what you'd then be looking at is when you change the value and you click on the refresh button in the lower right-hand corner, Paragon will look at today and back up to 30 days and give you the breakouts as shown in the market monitor for the different listings. Now you have the market, which could either be everything or your niche market. You can also see the details for listings in your office that you're assigned to. And if you belong to a multi-office firm, or organization, we call that a firm. You can see those different breakouts. And again, for those, you could be looking back up to 30 days. When you come to My Information, it also looks back 30 days except for one field, which is Expire Alert. And with Expire Alert, you're actually, instead of looking back 30 days, for your own listings only, you're looking forward up to 30 days. That way you can project ahead and see, do I have any listings that are in the near future going to be expiring? That way I can start working on that now rather than waiting until crunch time. Paragon will automatically start sending you a daily email 7 days before your listing will expire. It'll say, your listing at this MLS number and address is going to expire in 7 days, then 6 days, then 5 days, and count that right on down. And once you extend that listing, the daily reminders go away. Now below that you have contact activity. Contact activity is looking at your contacts and their saved searches. And typically saved searches and contacts are paired together. So the first line item here is new saved search matches. Are there any new matches based on the saved searches that you have? If so, you then see a number, and by clicking on the number or on the label, you do get to see it. If there's a listing that you've already been advised of, and there's been a change, like a price change or a status change, it then shows up in the second area. And then for new activity, not only is it looking at changes and new matches, but if your client is out inside Client Connect and they've classified properties as favorites, possible, reject, and added comments, it reflects there also. So it gives you a quick way to look at what's happening with your business separate than what's happening with the listings in general. Over on the left-hand side, we have the quick search. This is that quick search appears on the home page. That way, if you're rushed, you can quickly come in, put in different criteria, get results, print or email, and back out the door you go. Now, the functionality of these fields work exactly the same as when we're inside doing a regular property search. And at that point, I'll show you how the fields operate. But I want you to know that here on the home page, you've got a lot of great functionality available to you. Now, the center section, this is the homepage message. This is a message that the board puts together and applies and makes available to you as users. This message will be changed and updated by the board, communicating to you important information about what's happening. Right now, it's talking about what the testers are looking at. When you go parallel, it'll be showing the information important for you as you're going through the parallel process to prepare you to go into Paragon. Then once it becomes live, it'll be showing you different things to be looking at now that Paragon is your only system. And as you go forward, it's going to have different announcements and details to help you be familiar with what's going on here in your business. Now let's look at the buttons. At the top of the page, we have some buttons, and these buttons are what I think are intuitive. So as I'm looking, if I wanted to do a search, I would click here where it says searches. Again, if I see it, I can do it. If I want to do a search, click on search and I can go there. If I wanted to come over and work with my listings, I could do that. And so as you're looking at it, I can add listings, I can maintain listings. So it gives you that ability. Again, if you have that ability to add and maintain listings in ML Exchange and Fusion, you will continue to have that functionality in Paragon. You can also put in your contacts, verify that your contacts have come over, or add new contacts. You'll have Canadian-based calculators here. You also have access to your tax databases. Notice the two different tax databases that are being integrated right now. Membership, agent roster tells you information about the different users inside your Paragon system, alphabetical by user's last name. Member roster is alphabetical by office name, and then within the office, alphabetical by user's last name. Resources. This is going to be dressed out even more. You're going to find a lot of those different links that you have out on your home page in that, was it mustardy yellow color, that you have different links. They'll be found right here underneath resources. And so there may be different categories with different links there, allowing you in one spot to quickly go out to the different resources you need to be using as you're working in your business. And then preferences allows you to go in and set up how you want Paragon to work. So again, large buttons there. And by clicking on a button that has the functionality you want, you can go out and work in that particular area. But let's come back to searches. I'm interested in doing some searches with you, so let's talk about searches for a minute. On the left-hand side, we have search by class, and I think this is where we have a label difference. I think you call it a property type, we call it a property class, but notice you have residential, rural, mobile, and commercial. Yes, commercial is in your same database. Since you're no longer interfacing and working with Calgary, you no longer have those rules and restrictions that Calgary had. So you can now have all of your information inside one database. And for commercial agents, all the functionality that the residential agents have, you also have that inside your Paragon system. So 30 pictures, Client Connect, and all those other things are available to you inside Paragon. As you look down at the bottom, we have multi-class. You might call that a cross-property search. You can search in the multi-class search by multiple property classes, bringing back results to match what your client's needs are. In the center section, we have different specialized searches. You can have an unlimited number of saved hot sheet searches. And Paragon also has an automatic hot sheet. It shows you everything, but it also shows you what's new since the last time you ran it. Down below, there's an inventory search. By clicking on inventory, you can see your own listings as an agent. If you're a broker, you can see the listings for your agents within your office. In the upper right-hand corner, you can see all of your saved property searches, and then down below, you can see your active listing cards that you're using with your clients and for yourself right now. Let's come over and do a residential search. So by clicking on residential, the residential search criteria screen displays. And again, I know this looks different also. And as you become more familiar with Paragon by working 30 minutes a day, this is going to make more and more sense to you. But as you're looking inside Paragon, notice the toolbar. The toolbar allows you to load your saved searches. This is where you can see your last 5 searches that you've got inside Paragon. This is where you can customize the search. So the board gives you a starting point for your search criteria screen. If you like it, leave it alone. However, if there's fields that are missing and you want to add them, you can add them. If you want to reorder them, you can. If there's fields that are there you'll never use, you can take them out. So this allows you to take what the board gives you as a starting point, and you can now move in and make this so it fits the way you do business. My recommendation, utilize the fields and put them in the order top to bottom that you ask your interview questions of your buyers. That way, as you're working through Paragon, your first field is your first question, put in the value, hit tab, move down to your second field, put in that value, hit tab, continue on as you fill out the search criteria screen. As you're working inside Paragon, at this location and also with results, you can save your searches. And we'll talk more about that here in a couple of minutes. Over on the upper right-hand side, we have a criteria summary. As you utilize different fields, you're going to see that field appear, plus to the right of it, you're going to find the data values that you've got in that particular field. And then below that, you have available reports. Inside Paragon, as you're on a search criteria screen, you can pick which report you'll see initially. It could be the spreadsheet, and notice I've got it set up as my default report. However, if my buyer is sitting next to me, maybe the spreadsheet is the wrong report to see. Instead of having this wow or this pop as they look at the results, they're going to see something that's confusing and may generate more questions than you want. So you have the ability to move over to the right-hand side, and if you want to look at a detail sheet, that means it's one property per report. You can click on it and see those reports. If you want to work with a multi-up so they can see multiple properties on the same page, you could use any one of these multi-ups. We also have specialty reports that give you property history as an example. And we even have some CMA reports down below, which we'll look at the very end of class. There are also some additional reports that talk about current market, market summary, and also some hot sheet type information. So right here on the search criteria screen, you have access to a lot of great information when it comes to displaying those results. Let's dig into the search criteria screen itself. As you look at the search criteria screen, notice that there's a lot of magnifying glasses. These magnifying glasses indicate to you that this is a lookup field. In other words, you need to pick from a list to find the value you want. A couple of ways of finding values here if you wanted. So if I wanted to, I could put my cursor into the property class, type an S, and notice how Paragon will show you the values that have an S in it. So if I wanted single family, I could do a left mouse click on it. I could hit the buttons Enter or comma or tab to drop the value in. So let me go ahead and hit comma. Notice how it drops in, and now look up to the upper right-hand corner. The number of listings is updated. As you put criteria in or remove criteria from the search criteria screen, Paragon will quickly update the count for you. As you're continuing on down, we have lots of different magnifying glass fields. And so let me click on community as an example. So instead of just typing in the field, which I could like I did to get single family, I could come over and click on the magnifying glass. And as I do that, I get a table. This table is a searchable table. Now I could come through and I could click on the data column or on the description column and alphabetize according to that column, making it going from lowest to highest. Click again goes from highest to lowest. But I can use the find field, and if I wanted to find a value that has Glenn in it, I could type in Glenn, and now there's only 49 different values for me. By typing in a couple more characters, notice how it refines down. So if I wanted Glenora, I could come over and select it with a check mark. In fact, if I wanted to select all of those, I could. Come back and change that. Let me type in a couple other characters. Notice how I've got different values that have available to me. I could come through and select additional values just by clicking the check boxes. And I can do this over and over again. Once I've got selected the values I want, I click on the Save button in the upper right-hand corner. Those values that were selected are then added, and Paragon will recalculate for me. Now, if I'm looking at these values and I realize there's one that I don't want, I don't have to open up that magnifying glass. I could come over to this particular value, and by clicking on the X that's right above my pointer finger, I can remove that value, and notice how Paragon's going to recalculate for me again. So this makes it very easy for you to add values into a magnifying glass field. Now, status is a little bit different. Yes, I can type in the field like I've done before, but when I click on the magnifying glass for status, notice instead of having a table, I have a tree. And so with the tree, if I wanted to have active, I could select it. If I were doing some kind of a CMA, I could do sold and pendings. So by clicking on the left-hand side, I get everything on the right. By unchecking on the left, I uncheck on the right. And I could choose just exactly the specific values I'm looking for, or I could choose all. So having made those selections, notice what's going to happen to my count back behind. As I click on Save, Paragon again goes and recalculates. It's going to show me what's there. Now, as I told you in the PowerPoint, we bring in over all of your property history. And so with all that property history, based on my criteria, there's just under 3,000 listings. Part of the reason there's so many is because we have all of your sold listings there. So if I were to come down towards the bottom, notice I have an off-market date. For the off-market date, it is a range field. So I could on the right-hand side say, or left-hand side, I could say, from this date coming forward, show me the details. So by clicking in the field, I could put in the 2-digit month, 2-digit day, 4-digit year. I can, if I want, click on the calendar. And by clicking on the calendar, clicking on the month to the left, I could then move back through time, month by month. When I found the particular month I want, click on the day, the information gets dropped in. There's an easier way. By coming over and clicking on the range box on the far right-hand side, I now have all these different ranges I can automatically go back to. Typically, when I'm doing a CMA, I go back 6 months. So by clicking on 6 months, Paragon's going to say, based on the criteria that I have inside my search criteria screen, show me all the active, all the pending, and when it comes to my sold properties, only go back 6 months. So based on my criteria, instead of having thousands, I have 74. So that is how you can then be putting information into your magnifying glass fields. Let's look at an additional range field. It's pricing. So as I'm looking at pricing right now, I'm looking at everything. No matter what the price range, show me all properties. However, I may have an end value that my seller is looking for. So if I type in, let's say 500,000 and hit tab, I move over and Paragon says, okay, based on my criteria and with a starting point of $500,000 going to the most expensive, there's 47 properties. Now, the low end may not be the issue. Maybe it's the high end. Maybe it's 800,000 I want to have as my high end. So by putting in 800,000, I'm saying going from 0 up to 800,000 based on my other criteria, there are 50 listings. Now, typically when you're finding properties for a client, you may have a price range. And so I'm looking between $500,000 and $800,000. Again, notice how quickly you can come up with the different properties your client's looking for by simply adding the criteria into the field. I think as you look at it, there's nothing really special or unique that I've done as far as adding the information. If it's a range field, put in the low side and or the high side and come up with your results. Maybe what's unique is the magnifying glass in order to find the lookup fields for the pick list. But as I continue on down, notice I have other kinds of range fields. I could put in for bedrooms as an example. My buyer needs to have at least 4 bedrooms. Now I've got a real small count. I could come back, look at my criteria summary and see what is it that's here that's causing such a restriction. Is it the bedrooms that I just put in, or maybe it's something up top? Maybe it's the communities, whatever, that I've put in that's artificially restricting my results that I'm really looking for my buyer. Now, if I don't want to use a particular field or I want to change it, I can by clicking on the blue pencil. Paragon will move to that field, put a yellow highlight around it. Cursor's in the field ready for me to add values, but I could also remove values. If I want to remove all the values in a particular field, I just click on the red X. And by doing that, the bedrooms are now gone. I'm back to 23 matches. Let's come down to another field. The field is called features, okay? And I don't think I have features here, so let me show you how the customizing works. So I want to add the field features to my screen. I hover over features. Customize, I click on fields. And here I have my customizing tool. This customizing tool works similar to what we did when we were trying to find values for the magnifying glass fields. I have a find field up in the upper left-hand corner, and I can type in a couple characters, and Paragon will find it for me. Now, as we're looking at the customizing tool, I want to point out to you that we use this tool all throughout Paragon. So as you look at the screen, over on the left-hand side are all the values that are available to you. By using the tool in the middle, you can then add or remove, move up or down the particular fields. And what's on the right-hand side is what's selected. And over on the right-hand side, I can take any value, move it up, move it down, putting it in the order I want. Well, this is exactly the same tool that we could use to customize spreadsheets, to customize property reports. When you go to email and print, we have the available reports on the left-hand side, the selected reports on the right-hand side, and using the tools, you can move them up and down, in and out, in order to put together the kind of information you want to make available to somebody outside of Paragon. So this is how we have our customizing tool. Well, I want to add the field features. I'm going to click on add, and it's now been added. Now, one thing that is consistent in Paragon is whenever you move something from one side to the other, be it left to right or right to left, we always put it at the bottom of the list. That way you know where to find it. And then by checking the box, I can now move that up, move it down, place it wherever I want, and when I'm done, I click on Apply. Now, as we're working with searches, it's a two-step process to customize and save a search. Everywhere else, it's a one. When you click on Save, it's done. But for the searches, it's a two-step, and here's why. Having made changes, moving things up and down, in and out, when I've got it the way I want it, I click on Apply. Apply simply means let me display it for you and check and see, is this what you want? Making sure the look of the fields, making sure you've got your short fields together, your long fields together, rather than short, long, short, long, short, long, which may look odd to you as you're using the page. But making sure that this is what I want, I now come over to Save. And here I have two options. I have the ability to save search, which means let me update the current search I'm working with. Here's an example. If I've got a client that's using automatic email notification and using Client Connect as an example, they already have a search that's working. I get an excited call from my client. We just got a promotion and a big pay raise. We can look for a more expensive home. Isn't that the ideal question you want to have? So anyways, you bring up their save search, change the price range, and use this first option, save search. Update the current search. Because you're updating the current search, you do nothing to change the email notification process other than you're now looking at a different batch of results to now start going out to your client. So you can update the search and it doesn't break anything. You just now start sending out a different set of matches based on the new criteria. I'm going to come down, I'm going to click on Save Search As. I'm working with my default residential or condo search or whatever it is. I put in the criteria for my buyer. When I go to save it, I'm going to save it for my buyer, leaving my default available for my next buyer. So as I come down, instead of calling it last search, I can call this one Randy Holmes. Okay. Do I want to save it with values? Yes. So I could simply just click on Save and save that search. Let me get out of this for just a minute. I'm going to take out some of these other statuses here because I want to show you a functionality that's really neat. I'm going to be searching for just active properties. I'm going to come over, Save Search As. You can give it a name. Let's call it again Randy Jones. Going to save it with criteria. And notice I have a second tab here. It says Contact. As I click on Contact, I can now come down and see, do I have Randy Jones as one of my contacts already? So let me put my cursor in the field. I just type in Randy. I got a Randy Whipple, but not a Randy Jones. So I can come down below, click on Add a Contact. Now I can put in Randy Jones's information. So there's Randy Jones. His email address is randy@moviestar.ca. You always work with movie stars, don't you? Okay. I can put in the phone number. Notice as you put in a Canadian area code, it changes the flag. If they had an extension, I could put that in. By clicking on Save, notice the green confirmation rectangle at the top of the page. I've now saved my contact. With my contact saved, notice how Randy Jones is now added. I now have a button that's called Save and Notify. By clicking on Save and Notify, we now save that search associated with Randy, and I can now choose which kind of email notification I want to use. The one I recommend is Client Connect down at the bottom. We'll talk about that more at the end of class. But notice that the workflow is similar to what you have right now in ML Exchange and Fusion. You can put in the search, assign it to the client, and then choose which style of email notification you want. There's another way to do it in Paragon. We'll show that to you at the end of class also. But just know that you do have the ability to come in and work with that. Let me go back over to my contacts. Notice that the search now says Randy Jones, which you were looking for. So the question is, now that I've been working with Randy Jones, Randy calls me, gives me a call, and he wants me to find a saved search. Notice I have the ability to add an additional search criteria screen. So let's assume that one search was dealing with Paul or Fred or somebody else. And so while I'm working with Paul and Fred's search, Randy gives me a call. I say, great, give me a second. I open up a new search, leaving Paul or Fred's search alone. By coming over to Load Search, load a save search, I can now type in, let's say, Jones. Let me spell Jones right. There we go. Notice how it brings up for me. So again, if I were to type in Randy, notice how I get all different variations of. So just by typing in a couple of characters, Paragon will allow you to find the search you want. And by clicking on the name, it loads it up fresh. So let me just choose Randy W. So I can have Randy W's search working along with Randy Jones's searches. I can have up to 3 searches within residential alone working. And then if I go to rural, commercial, I've got those also. So as I'm back here with Randy Jones, I've got in some criteria. Let me scoot down and let me show you how features work. I showed you how to add it just a couple of minutes ago. Let's work with it. Features is a functionality that allows you to choose different amenities for a particular area. As an example, you have a field or a feature that's called site influence. And so you have different options for that. You also have parking as an example. There's other things that are there. So if in a particular area you could choose multiple values, we call that a feature. It's an amenities. Okay. If you have to choose a particular item, let's say as you're putting in the home, you've got to declare it as a colonial or as a bungalow or a Tudor, whatever. Because it's a single choice, it doesn't fit in down to features. Okay. That'd be a particular field called, let's say, garages, yes, no, or total garage, total parking. You go like 1, 2, 3, or whatever you want. But when it comes to the feature area, you're looking for multiple select in a particular area. And as you're working with that inside Paragon, we have three different containers for the features. We have must-have, and anything that is in the must-have container, the property must have every single one of them, or you won't see the property, because the client has said, it's got to have all of these, or I don't want to see it. We also have must not have, and whatever list you have here, if the property has any one of them, you will not see the property, because they said any one of these items are a deal killer or a deal breaker for us. And then we have must have one or more. So within a category like site influencers or parking, whatever, as long as it has one or more of those items, show me the property. So let me give you an example. Now, I don't know the value for it, but I can just type in a couple characters like land, and notice how it shows me different values for land, for landscaping and all. I am going to choose landscaping. Let me go ahead and choose landscaped, and it drops in. Notice my count has dropped down, because we're saying we're only looking at properties where the listing agent has declared that it's a landscape property. For the must not have, I don't want linoleum. Let me go ahead and just add that to it. And when it comes to have one or more, let me use double as the example. I want to have a double garage attached. Also, I'm looking at a double garage detached. Notice I could, if I type in again, I could have double shed, double carport, double indoor. I mean, lots of different doubles available. But I could then come through and say, okay, based on this criteria, it's got to be landscaped. It can't have linoleum, and it's got to either have a double car garage attached or detached. Notice how many properties I've got. So again, this makes it very easy for you to find those amenities that your buyer's looking for. Let me click on the magnifying glass so you can get a better idea of what I'm talking about. As this opens up, notice that we have a whole bunch of items here. To get more detail with it, notice the button that says collapse. Go ahead and click on it. And now you can see all the different categories that we have available to you. So if we're looking at goods included, I could expand that. And again, using the must have one or more, we could now put in those different things that the buyer wants to have in the home or doesn't want to have in the home when it comes to goods included. I can go through and open up each one of these containers looking for the items that my client's looking for. I think I've already mentioned to you that if the field is empty, show me everything. But as soon as I put a value into the field, forget everything, only give me what I'm asking for. And that applies here to features also. If I'm looking at goods included and I make no selection one way or the other, then you're saying you're good with any option that comes up for that particular area. You may have a concern about site influences or parking or whatever. Maybe it's the heating fuel type. You can go in and make specific choices to limit your results to those particular items. Let me go ahead and close that down. Again, as I'm looking at this, let me get rid of a couple of things that may be restricting my my results here. So I've got us back to 10 properties. Again, if I wanted, if my client was sitting next to me, I could choose a particular detail report, go right out to it. By clicking on it, I bypass the spreadsheet, and I show just that the results in that property report. But because many of you as agents work with the spreadsheet, I'm going to just click on search. As I click on search, we're now going to move from the search criteria screen over to the spreadsheet, and there's my 10 properties. Now, when we have our pictures integrated into Paragon, over here on the side, you're then going to find that little picture showing that property. It's small, but you can still look at it and say, okay, are there trees there? Is it bare ground? You can get a rough idea of what's happening. And again, by clicking on the picture, you can then get a larger picture. And by clicking through each of the different photos, you can step through all 30 different pictures associated with that listing. Now, let's look at some of the things you can do here. First of all, notice the statistics that are across the top of the page. By default, Paragon's going to show you on spreadsheets the statistics. If you don't want the statistics, as you go through the preferences wizard and you get to results, you can uncheck the box for statistics. However, if you're like me and I'm a numbers guy, not only do I have it checked for my spreadsheets, for all of my property reports, I've got it there also. Regardless of how you have the statistics set up, by hovering over actions, coming down to toggle, you can change the state. It's a temporary change, but if they're there and I want to hide them, I can. If it's not there and I want to temporarily display it, I can. So you have that option of working with whether or not you want the stats. Well, let's look at some of the functionalities. Notice how wide address is. If I want, hover over the right-hand side, notice the double arrowhead. Left mouse click, hold. I can drag it to the side. And notice how Paragon has saved the width preference. So now whenever I come back to residential default, looking at the address field, it's going to be this wide. Maybe address is in the wrong location. Left mouse click, hold. I can drag it to wherever I want. Notice that green background that indicates where this column will drop in. when I release my left mouse button. And again, notice the green confirmation rectangle. Paragon has remembered it. That way, when I come back into the residential default spreadsheet, address is going to be way off to the right-hand side. I can, if I want, click on the like bedrooms, top of the column. I can now sort those in ascending order. Show me all the 2-bedroom, the 3-bedroom, the 4-bedroom, and 5-bedroom up to the highest number of bedrooms. Click it again. I reverse that sorting. I'm going from highest to lowest. I can, if I want, take a particular listing. Let's say listing number 5, and for whatever reason, I want to make that the first listing. Left mouse click on the number, hold it, drag it, drop it. The number the list renumbers, but that property is now there at the top for me to present. So again, lots of different things you can do out here just right on the spreadsheet. As I'm working with the spreadsheet, I may say, okay, I'm assuming that I want to use all of these properties. And I want to come over and look at these properties in a different report. So I could come over, click on Reports, move down to Detail. I'm going to click on a report that I've created myself. So by clicking on that report, this is now showing me one property per page, and this is a report that I've created myself. It has a picture, basic information, and a map. As I move on down, I've got basic listing information, the different feature amenities, remarks, and then I've got my contact information and 6 more pictures. If as I'm looking at this property, I think it's good, I just leave the checkbox checked. As I continue on, I may look at property 2 and say, yep, that's good. Come over to property 3 and say, nope, that's not good. So I can, if I want, uncheck the box and continue on. Let me uncheck that one. I'm going to uncheck another one, that one there. And I've now unchecked the box. If I move back to my spreadsheet, notice that those properties that were deselected are still deselected. Using my tool buttons across the top, notice I have one that says checked. As I click on checked, it's only going to show me those properties that are currently checked. I can continue filtering as many times as I would like, get me down to that working group, and then when I'm ready to work with another scenario, display all. I display all the listings with the last one selected, still selected. If I want a totally new scenario, select them all, then deselect them all, and I can now start with a different assumption to find the properties I want to work with. Let me come down and just choose a couple of properties. There we go. As we're working on the toolbar, notice it says, after we get done with the filtering, it says email. So if I wanted to email the selected properties out to a client, I would click on the email button. And by clicking on the email button, a window opens up. And on this window, Paragon's going to ask you what type of email do you want to send out of Paragon. And that's in the upper left-hand corner. May I strongly recommend that you use the hyperlink. The hyperlink allows me to say, do I want the 3 selected, all in my results of the last one I clicked on? I'm going to use the 3. And what happens is for the next 90 days after I send this individual email, my client can open up the email, click on the link, and get current information about the properties I've sent to them. And they can do that for the next 90 days. So if they see that there's been a price change, there's been a status change, they can see that for the next 90 days. If I use an attachment, either HTML or PDF, first of all, I don't recommend it. And if you do use it, it's taking a snapshot. It's a picture. It's like your 5th grade school picture. Have you changed since then? I hope so. Okay. And looking around, it looks like everyone's changed. Okay. But if you took an HTML attachment or a PDF attachment, it'd be like that 5th grade school picture. You can see it forever, but you never see the updates. Plus, you only send it out for the very first property. And we only send for the very first properties. We're trying to control how big an email you're sending to your client. If I had chosen a bunch of properties with a bunch of reports, that email going out could theoretically exceed the maximum email size of your client's inbox, and they would never get the email. So by using a hyperlink, you can send jillions of reports with properties with lots of reports, and they can see them all. So I recommend that. So I'm going to choose hyperlink, the 3 that I've got selected, and let me send out a couple reports to my client. I'm going to use the color green. I'm going to use the custom brochure number 1, and again, my favorite report, Gary's detail report. By clicking on add, notice how Paragon remembered the order that I clicked on them. They're now here. If I wanted to, I could move them around. So let me move this one up. But again, I don't have to check these boxes over here because on the right-hand side, they're already selected. By clicking on email, we now move out to the email template. And on the email template, we have a to, a copy, and a blind copy. Notice how my email address is automatically there in the blind copy. That's one of the selections I made when I ran through that preference wizard. Now, when it comes to sending it to someone, I could type in Randy. And I may want to send that to Randy Jones Movie Star. Okay, but I could just type in anybody's email address. The email address does not have to come from a contact record. So I'm going to just send it to Randy. And as I come down below, notice where it says click here to view listings. Below that, I'm going to put my cursor. And at the top, I have my message bodies. Here are some of the message bodies that I have created. And so by coming in and choosing the one I want, in this case, I'm going to choose the 90-day email link, because it now tells my reader that the link inside the email is good for 90 days. And after 90 days, it goes inactive. I'm going to come over, type in Randy's name. Going to come down below my message body. Going to hit enter a couple of times. I now come up and select my signature. Again, I've got preloaded several different signatures. I'm going to come down to my buyer signature. And there it is. So it didn't take me very long to put in an email telling my client what's going on with the listings inside that link. By clicking on send, that email goes out. The green bar indicates that it's gone out, and it went out to my client. As Randy reads this email, it says click here to view the listings. So let's pretend we're Randy. So by clicking where it says click here to view the listings, up comes the property reports. So my contact, my branding information is here in the upper left-hand corner. Below my picture are the 3 different property reports I've sent to Randy. As Randy is on this particular report, as he clicks on the MLS number, the information changes. Now, because the pictures aren't there, it's not showing a good change. But each time I change, notice that my information down below here has changed. Randy could use the drop-down. Let's come over to the custom color green report. So this one has some details here for it. And as we click on the MLS number, notice how we've now changed the details. Again, coming down to my favorite report. Again, I can click, get the current details about those properties as I click. And that's good for the next 90 days. On any report, your client can print it out. So you didn't send it as a PDF, that's okay. You send it out as a hyperlink. That way lots of pictures and reports and properties could be there, but it's a very small email. And on a case-by-case basis, your buyer can then choose which property report to print out for their hard copies. Moving back into Paragon, clicking on the tab for Paragon, I'm going to close this down. As I move on over, notice it says Save Search. I mentioned to you that as you're out working on the search criteria screen, you could save the criteria, that search for your client. But a lot of times agents wait until they actually look at the results. Let me make sure that what I think they want is what they really want, and let me look at the properties. So as you're looking at the results, I have the same options. I can update the current search. I can give it a new name, but also down below it says Save to Listing Cart. So if I wanted to, I could click on Save to Listing Cart, come over, type in Randy. Let me type in Tom. There we go. Let me choose Terry. I've got it. And now I can click on Save. And those listings have now been added to the listing cart. I could have added those same listings to multiple people's listing cart if they all have the same kind of desires for similar type of properties. And those are now out there available for me to reference. And if I want to, I could then set up email notifications to tell my client when there's a change on those specific properties. So as you're looking at the results, I have the ability to filter here on the left-hand side, to email, to save the criteria that brought me the results. I can also print. So if we're going on a property visit, I hover over print, and we have 2 options. I think the first option is only good for spreadsheets. At least that's how I would use it. If I try to print out multiple properties with multiple reports, it's one property, one report, then the second report for that same property, the third report for that same property, then I go to the next property. It's not very efficient in working. So by coming down to Print Plus, I can now print out multiple property reports for multiple properties. Just like we had with the email, notice it says, do I want to print out the selected 3? Do I want to print out for all properties, or is it the last one? When it comes to output type, always choose PDF. By choosing PDF, a one-page report will print out 1 page. If you use HTML, the information we're going to send to the web page is larger than what the web page will allow. So it means information is going to spill to the right and down. So instead of 1 pages, you could have 4 pages. So I always recommend PDF. Now, when it comes to printing, Paragon wants to print the report that you're on. I don't want to print out that. What I do want to print out is the information for us to go on a property visit. So I'm going to print out the agent detail for me. I'm going to print out let's say the custom color green. Again, I could theoretically take every report that's on the left-hand side, move it to the right-hand side, and it would print in one single print job. Again, with the reports on the right-hand side, they're selected. I could now print them, or may I recommend while you're getting used to Paragon, you click on Print Preview. And by doing Print Preview, we're now going to generate those properties in the different reports. We're going to take the first report, generate the 3 properties, then take the second report and generate it for the 3 properties. That way, as you get to the printer, the first batch is for me, the second batch is for you, my buyers, and I don't have to decollate it as I'm going. The blue bar here at the top is indicating that it's being generated, and there we have it. As I'm looking at these different reports, I can scroll right on down, and these are the things I'm going to have in my hand. Again, this is a report that's been recreated out of ML Exchange and Fusion and put into Paragon. And we'll be doing that with additional reports coming out of ML Exchange and Fusion and bringing them into Paragon. And then here's what I'd be placing in your hand. If this looks good, I can then go ahead and print this out. If there's a wrong report there, get out, click on back, take out the wrong report, put in the right report, and I can then go out and print preview again. So any questions on what we've done so far? Let me take a break. I've been talking kind of fast here. Let me take a break for a second. Let me ask you this. If you had access to Paragon right now, and you don't because it's going to be like August 24th before you get it, but if you had access to Paragon right now, could you go back to your office and put in criteria to do a search? Do you think you could do that? Could you save the search? More importantly, could you find the search? Okay, you've got it. So once you've got the search there, could you go out and see results? Could you go to the spreadsheet? Could you go directly to a particular property report if you wanted? They're on the property reports. Let's use the spreadsheet as an example. Could you do some filtering? Could you select the ones you want to print or email? And could you print and email it? If you're nodding your head, yes, I think I could, then we've accomplished what we're looking for today. Not that you're an expert, but you could, knowing that it can be done, you can kind of work your way through the buttons, through the pages to accomplish the results you want. And just like anything else, it's going to take some time to learn. I just taught my daughter how to drive. Thank goodness it's with an automatic. How many of you learned on a clutch? Okay, remember that first time you started to go, was it a nice smooth takeoff or was it kind of jerky? Mine was really jerky, okay? You may find that your peers are going to find that it's kind of a jerky process because you're not fluid in it. You're not fluent in it. You're not smooth in it. But as you get in and start using Paragon and you become more familiar with it, you're going to become smoother. And you're going to be able to be on that hill and take off without having to slip back and worry about the guy's bumper behind you. But it takes practice in order to get there, just like when you learn to drive a car. So how are we doing? Are you doing okay? Is it making sense? Good. Let's come over and let's look at how you do a quick CMA. Inside Paragon, you can do a quick CMA. And I really think that in 10 minutes, you can do the search, get the results, and have it printed out if you want it in 10 minutes or less. So I'm just going to come over. I'm going to click on New Search. That is my maximum number of searches for residential. I'm just going to clear all. And let's start off with a scenario. So let's say you got in mind your seller's home. You want to put together some comparable properties that you can then present to them to help justify your recommended listing price. Now, with this kind of a CMA, you're looking at someone that you already have established rapport with. They already know that you're a good person and that you want to work with you. So you don't have to justify who you are. They're just saying, Gary, give me the numbers. So that's the assumption we're working with. So again, I'm going to come into my search criteria screen. I want a single family. I want to have a status of active solds and pendings. So I'm going to select those. My off-market date, I'm going to choose a date range of 6 months back. I'm looking for properties in the $500,000 to $700,000 price range. And I want to put that into Glenora, let's say. And I could come in and put in other details. And I think you understand how you quickly put in the criteria you're looking for to get yourself to a reasonable set of matches. Let me change this a little bit. I'm going to change that to 800,000. So I've got a few more matches there. And once you've got your criteria in to find properties similar to your comp or to your subject property, click on Search. If you're keeping notes with me, I want you to stop taking notes. So what we've done is we've put in criteria, clicked on Search, and we now have results. stop taking notes at this point because I want to recommend to you 4 different reports that I would use. So I'm going to click on Reports. And since we're doing a CMA, I'm going to move down to the CMA module. In the CMA module here, or this folder, there's a couple of reports I like. First one is the Quick View. By using the Quick View, I'm now putting 4 properties side by side. I can then step through each of these different properties, verifying that, yes, these are the kind of properties that my buyer or my seller, similar to their property, and I can just verify that they're all what I'm looking for. I could go through by unchecking boxes had I checked all of them before. I could then deselect the ones that don't match, and by clicking on check, filter down to just those comps that I really want to use. So let me come back, check all the boxes. I'm going to come through and I'm going to select just those ones I want. So let me come back over to my Quick View. So again, I just step through. If there's any report or property I don't want, I just uncheck the boxes. And when I click on checked, I now see just those properties. So instead of seeing all of them, I'm just seeing a select few. So I've got 15 of the 20. So this is one report I like because it allows your seller to see, here's properties similar to mine, and they can look across the page and verify comparability. Another report I like is the CMA summary. And by choosing the CMA summary, we're now going to look at those properties according to statuses. So right now, when it comes to active properties, I've got 7. Now, this report also includes across the top the statistics for all of the properties. It's going to give you high, low, average, and median for listing price and selling price. As I move down the page, notice I have average, minimum, maximum, and median. And for any value that is a numeric value, we give you those breakouts, those statistics. Now, let me give you a secret about this particular report. It's not done being customized. Once this is done and you're inside the parallel mode, on the right-hand side, you're going to have days on market, asking price per square foot for your active and pending properties. For your sold properties, it's going to have those 3, plus it's going to say selling price and selling price per square foot. All of those are built into the report. You don't have to worry about them. They're there. In Paragon, the default report has days on market. In fact, it's the pivot point. Days on market, price, and price per square foot are automatically there. And the way it comes standard in Paragon is we group all of your actives together, even if it spills over pages, and give you the details at the bottom. To the left of days on market, you can customize up to 10 different fields that you personally want. Okay, and so if there's fields here you would never use, take them out. How would you do that? The blue gear of customizing. And you customize it on a status by status basis. So you'd say, for my actives, these are what I want. For my solds, I may want something different. For my pendings, I may want something entirely different. But if it's a numeric field, notice we're going to give you average, minimum, maximum, median. All right, so this is a report that I like. It groups all of my sold properties together. And there's the status. If I had pendings, it would give me the same kind of breakouts. And remember, at this point, we've not completed the report, so the days on market and to the right have not been added yet. Another report that I like is down here underneath the reports itself, and it's called the sold price report. By clicking on the sold price report, all we're looking at are the sold properties. Here we go. And notice it says residential single family Edmonton, gives you all the listing ID numbers, the MLS numbers, address, original price, selling price, and percentage of selling price to listing price, and days on market. Down at the bottom, we give you the average and the total for them, giving you some additional numbers. Another report I like is the Bing map. Now, right now, we don't have any of your mapping codes in there, so it's going to show us, the north central part of the plains area and all. Because this would then show you, if we had that mapping codes in there, it would show you right in on that particular subdivision, that neighborhood, and how, yes, these properties all come from that particular neighborhood. You weren't going way across town to try to get comps. You're right there in town. Right now, we're international on our comps, right? At least the way the map is looking. So anyways, I like those reports. So let me come back over to the spreadsheet I'll just stay right here, okay? What we want to do is, if you're taking notes, this is where you pick up. So we've done a search, we've got results, and from your results page, come over to print and print plus. So once you've got your results, you've gotten down to your right comps, from whatever report you're on, just come over and choose Bing map as one of the reports. I'm going to scoot down to where I have my CMA views, the quick view, the summary, and the sold price. I add them by clicking on the add button. I'm then going to take my Bing map and move it down. Now in this layout, I'm going to be presenting, if I present it in the way I'm going to print it, and take all of my properties on the 4 per page and put them together. My next report down would then be showing my summary according to status. My next one down talks about the sold price. I can now talk about right pricing for your initial listing of the property. And then the map then shows where those properties are all at. I would then click on print preview. I now have that available to print out. I can then go make my presentation to the person who already knows me and saying, Gary, just give me the numbers. So the process of doing a quick CMA, put in the criteria, get your results. Review the results to make sure you've got good comps, and from whatever report you're on, click on Print Plus, choose those 4 reports, and you print. I truly believe that in about 10 minutes, you can have that ready to print out. So there's a quick CMA out of Paragon. So what is it? It's just a modification of a search and results and what I want to print out. Let's come over and look at Client Connect. I've shown you how you could come in while during the search and tie that contact to the search, and then you get to choose which kind of email notification you want to do. I'm going to come over to Contacts, and let me show you the information you have when you're looking at Contacts. I'm going to scroll out just a little bit. Notice I have each of my contacts coming down the left-hand side. There's a plus sign over on the far left-hand side. That indicates that you've got saved searches there. As I come down and look at one, I've got one by a client by the name of Tim Whipple. I want to set up email notifications for him. Not all of your contacts coming over with their saved searches will be people you want to send email notifications to. They've already purchased. They're no longer in the market to buy right now. Give them a few years, they may come back in, but right now they're good. But Tim, he's an active buyer. So I'm going to click on Tim's name. As I do that, let me scroll in. And notice it shows me that Tim has a search. Moving over to the left-hand side, see where it says Search Activity? I click on it. As I do that, again, there's Tim's search. As I click on the name of the search, Paragon then takes me to the point where we were at just a couple of minutes ago, and what kind of email notification do I want to send? Notice at the top it says off. Nothing's going on, and that's the way it should be. You then get to choose which of these clients you're going to turn email notifications on for. And we've just, by the way, created a video that shows you how to get to this point. But if you choose email notification, you then have an email that's going to go out and say, okay, here's the matches for today, or within the last 15 minutes, or whatever your time collection is. Here's a set of listings. Let's send it out. And those are the only listings you're going to see in this email. Nothing from previous emails, nothing from subsequent emails, just that particular email. And as your client then opens up that email, for that particular email, the link is good for 90 days. Although email notifications can go for up to a year, which you can then keep renewing for extra years if you want to go out. But each individual email has a 90-day life to the link. So for the next 90 days, the client can open it up, see the details for those particular listings, but they got to save all the emails. And that's one style of email notification. May I strongly recommend you choose something different, and that would be Client Connect. By coming down and choosing Client Connect, notice this little wheel spinning at the bottom, and also notice that there's 16 listings already on the site. Those 16 listings are now on Client Connect, ready for Tim to go look at. As I move on down the page, I have notification settings. I can choose when does Tim get his emails and when do I get the emails, and they can be at different times. I can say I want it to go daily, and I pick a time. I can say I want it to go out weekly, and I can pick which days of the week at a particular time. I could choose monthly, and I could choose a particular day of the month, numbered day of the month, or I could choose a particular week and then a day within that week. Those are all the different options that I have for setting up when I and my client are going to receive the email notifications. Because I've run the Client Connect Preferences wizard to set up my website and how I want it to function, I can skip over this next item, which is Client Connect Preferences. Having got things ready, and now you can do this either right now or as soon as you get access to Paragon through the parallel mode, or you can wait later on into parallel, or right as you go with Paragon as your only MLS system, you could choose to do the following. Click on Send the Link. And by clicking on Send the Link, I'm now going to invite Tim to Client Connect. And as I do this, notice it says first time logging in. Click here to create a password. That is optional. They don't have to do that. There we go. Most of our users that go into Client Connect, they use the second link which says go right to the site. So I'm going to just go ahead and click on Send. The message has been sent. And now let's pretend we're Tim. Tim has just received this email. It says, great, Client Connect. My agent's been telling me about it. I'm just going to click where it says go to the site. I don't need an email address, a username and password. Let me just go out to the site. And here we have 3 different reports that your client can use to investigate and review these different properties. The first one is going to show 5 properties, one above each other, over here on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side is a map, a single map that would show where those 5 properties are relative to each other. As you would hover over each picture, there's a callout that would show where that particular property is at. As I'm looking at the properties, notice there's a button for comments. I can see a full detail, and for each property, I can classify favorite, possible, and reject. And for me, a favorite is a possible they want to go visit and possibly purchase. A possible property is one that has many of the must-have features, but not enough to go visit. And a rejected property is simply one that doesn't fit the other 2 categories. And so with me using that as my rules of engagement, and you can choose whatever you want for your rules of engagement, you can then have your client classifying these properties, and then as you review it, you have an idea of what's going on, what their thoughts are. I also have a second report, which is a side-by-side for 3 different properties. Again, with this, I have favorite, possible, reject, and comment. And notice that the report has been designed to show if there's a virtual tour, they can click on it and go see that virtual tour. We also have a detail report. And with the detail report, like the others, there's a favorite, possible, and reject, and adding a comment. And because it's a 1 page per property, again, they can see lots of information with an additional 10 pictures down below. Let me come back over to the default view, the vertical view. As I'm working with each of these properties, notice I could make this one a favorite. As I do, watch the count for undecided and also watch the count for favorites, possibles, and rejects grow. So as I make this one a favorite, it's been added. Now what happens is all the properties move up, another one slides in, and the map reorients to fit the new set of 5. I'm going to make the next one a possible, the next one a reject, and as a client, I could then go through and do each of these different things. Back inside the contact record where I clicked to send the link to my client, below that was another button. It said View Site. I, as an agent, by clicking on that button, I come in exactly to the same site. On behalf of my client, I could do the same things. So if your client has been using your portal inside ML Exchange and Fusion, you could come in and pre-classify these listings for them, even putting in the comments that they've been working with. Then when you invite them, all the work that they'd gone through before has been transferred into Paragon by you, the agent, and they can pick up and go forward with just those new matches. Your client can come over and view the summary. They can say, okay, what's the saved searches that we've got out here? How many are active? How many are undecided? How many favorites, possibles, and rejects? And the date of the last email that went out to them is also displayed for them. They can have multiple saved searches sending results to the same Client Connect site. Let me come back over to Paragon, close this down. Let me close out of Tim. Let me scroll back out. And notice how as I come into Paragon and look at the Client Connect, I can look and see which one of my clients have email notifications running, because I've got information in the matches column. I can also see what are new matches, what are matches where there's been changes. And if I'm using Client Connect, I can see the undecided, the favorites, the possible, and reject. What was the date of the last email going out, and what was the date and time the last time they actually went into Client Connect. This little blue call out right here, that indicates there's a comment. So I could click on it, view the comment, and right next to that there's a property report I could click on. I can then see details about it, then go back to the comment, add whatever response back, send it to them. And whenever we send emails out of Paragon, whether it's you to your client or your client from Client Connect to you, we send it as the sender send it from their own email address. That way the recipient, when they read and reply back, it never comes back to Paragon, it goes back to the sender. And that's how we do all of our emails going out of Paragon. Folks, we have covered a lot of territory in the last 90 minutes. I'm hoping that as you look at it and see what we've covered, that you realize that Paragon is not that monster hiding under your bed. It's something that's friendly, that's usable, and that by looking at it, if I see it, I can do it, you can walk yourself through it. So as you're out using Paragon and you have questions, you've got some help sites. So for a help site for videos and guides, remember your portal. And by working with the portal, you're then going to have a website where you can go out and look at different details, not only how to use Paragon, but as you're transitioning from ML Exchange to and Fusion to Paragon, you're going to be able to see those things that you should be looking at, you should be considering as you make the move. You also have access to the Paragon help site, which is in the upper right-hand corner of the page. And so when you click on it, you're going to get all those different buttons that show you the basic functionality, similar to what we had in those big buttons going across Paragon. Thank you for attending our overview of Paragon. and success in your transition as you go from Emerald Exchange and Fusion into Paragon.